Ultimately, my dream came true in a very unexpected way, as I was the one who became the hunted. Growing up, I was fascinated by the paranormal, especially ghosts. I found that my curiosity piqued every time I walked by an old, creepy house or picked up any antiques in stores. My dream was to eventually go ghost hunting somewhere locally, having watched every episode of every haunted location show on television. Ultimately, my dream came true in a very unexpected way, as I was the one who became the hunted. My first encounter with the paranormal happened around Christmas after I turned 15. Our house was decorated from top to bottom in tinsel and lights, and my mother kept the house smelling like baked goods as she was constantly baking and making all manner of sweets for the holidays. I'd been saving up my allowance for some time because I wanted to add something special to our holiday decor, an antique tree ornament. I'd looked through several stores locally, but none had any ornaments that were in decent condition. Most were damaged from years of neglect. In the last store that I visited, though, I found the perfect ornament. It was round, egg-like in shape, and made of tin. It had been painted in jewel-like shades of red, green, and gold, and featured an inset image of a dove. I felt attracted to this ornament inexplicably, like a strong magnet whose pull was unbreakable. The store owner said that it had come from a local Victorian-era home that had recently been demolished to make way for some new townhomes. The owners of the home were a wealthy couple who had been well known and well liked in the community, and their twin children, a boy and a girl. After finalizing my purchase, I went home and placed it on our tree. Because it was the holiday season, I had developed a bad habit of watching the movie Home Alone until I fell asleep every night. However, this night proved to be different from the rest. As usual, I turned on my fan and started watching Home Alone. Shortly after that, I fell asleep. I dreamt that I was lying in a bed, violently ill, with cold chills, even though I was burning up with fever, and barely able to breathe. I looked up to see a man and woman in Victorian-era clothing staring back at me sadly, tears in their eyes. The man grasped a pillow in his hand. He leaned down to kiss me on my cheek, before covering my face with the pillow. I immediately snapped awake at this moment, gasping for breath and sweat pouring off my body. My eyes started to regain focus as I stared at the bright television screen, Home Alone having ended hours earlier. That is when I noticed the two shadows at the end of the bed. They were abnormally dark, almost as black as a starless night sky. I could not believe my eyes, but I was staring at two shadow people. Two peculiar things struck me about these shadow people, though. First, they were small, about the size of a 6 or 7-year-old child. Second, they each had distinctive shapes. One was masculine, and the other feminine. They stood there, staring at me. Then suddenly, they began moving around the room, quickly, like when you blink and something has changed locations. They did this many times in a row, before disappearing into my closet. I tried to go back to sleep, but the combination of adrenaline and terror refused to let me. This series of events continued to happen over the next 3 to 4 days. The lack of sleep was taking its toll on me physically, causing my mother to ask if something was wrong. I hesitated to tell her at first because I thought she would immediately think I was going insane, but I gave in and told her of the horrific nightmares and the shadow people in my room. She told me that she had seen them too, and that sometimes they would merge into one massive blob-like form in the kitchen. At this point, I knew that I was not going crazy, and that she believed me. We immediately started thinking about why these events had started happening. Finally, my mother made the connection that I had overlooked. These events did not start until the day I bought that antique ornament for the tree. As quickly as I could, I took that ornament back to the antique store where I had purchased it and asked the owner if he would take it back. He obliged, and I told him of the events that had happened in my home. The store owner was shocked at first, but he sighed before telling me more about the ornament's previous owners. They were a wealthy couple who had 2 children, a boy and a girl. Sadly, during that time, a horrific strain of influenza had swept through the area, and their children, unfortunately, became ill with it. None of the treatments known during that time worked, and it was believed that the children died from it. However, rumors had swirled that the parents, not wanting to see their children suffer any longer, smothered them out of pity. He said that their deaths occurred around the holidays, and that it appears that their spirits may have clung to the ornament, waiting for someone to tell the truth to after all of these years. I could not believe that I had experienced something paranormal like this. After I gave the ornament back to the store owner, my nightmares stopped completely, and the shadow figures quit appearing as well. To this day, I still have feelings of dread and nervousness whenever I'm alone in dark places. I've researched shadow people since and found a plethora of resources to help me deal with what I experienced. I've also learned that sometimes objects hold on to their pasts, for better or for worse.
For more creepy true stories and real haunted houses, be sure to like and subscribe and never miss an episode.